Good afternoon, Professor Lothar.
Good afternoon, Chief Justice.
I am greeting you on behalf of all of them. Don't think they are being unfriendly if they don't greet you. It's just in the interest of time.
I can understand, thanks. Good afternoon, Commissioners.
For how many years were you a lecturer, including senior lecturer, before you became professor?
I was for 5 years. I was appointed as a senior lecturer, and then I was promoted to full professor, to associate professor, and then to full professor after 5 years. And
how long did it take you to migrate from associate professor to full chair?
I think it was 2 years.
2 years?
Yeah, 2 years. I've been a full professor now for 20 years. So.
And in the course of being professor, were you also appearing in court?
No, I didn't appear in court.
And how many times, well, let me put it this way, in total, to how many months does do your acting stints amount?
Acting stints? As
Yes.
a judge?
Yes.
I've never been appointed as a judge, as an acting judge. My experience of tribunals is the BCCSA. I've been a member of the BCCSA for very long, and I've been I'm the deputy chair of the BCCSA, but I haven't been. I've never acted as a judge.
What just to remind us, what is BCCA?
It's the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of
Yes.
South Africa.
What do you do there?
At present, I'm a deputy chair at the Broadcasting Complaints Commission. I was, for about 10 years, I was a commissioner and also a deputy chair of the BCCSA. And then because of my workload at UNISA, I had to resign. But then since the beginning of this year, I was appointed again as commissioner, and I was elected as deputy chair.
And how does it, is it a quasi-judicial responsibility that you have there?
Yes, we have panels, and if people, they often advertise us on on television and the radio, and then if people have complaints, then they lodge a complaint, and it's decided whether the complaint will be heard, and then we have a hearing. We have SCs appearing before us sometimes because the broadcasters appoint legal people to represent them, because it's a lot riding on it sometimes.
But for no fault of your own, you've never been afforded the opportunity to write judgment either as acting magistrate or acting judge?
No, I only wrote judgments for the BCCSA because that's also reported on our website, our judgments.
Yes. Do you think it will be a challenge for you to produce a High Court judgment?
I don't think so, because in view of my background, I've published a few articles, and I know we have more time when we write an article, but also the judgments at the BCCSA, it's quite technical, as you know. It's a technical field, and then I won't have a problem in writing judgments, because as I said, that's what we do. I publish and I write judgments as well, and I know there's a time factor as well that you have to comply with, which you have to manage very well if you want to not to fall behind, because once you're behind, it's very difficult to catch up.
Thank you so much. Judge President?
Thank you, Chief Justice. Professor, the articles that we are talking about, were they confined to the field of criminal law, or did you publish widely? And if so, which other areas of the law, apart from criminal law?
If I could answer you like this, my mentor, Professor Kali Snyman, once said to me, when are you going to write about criminal law? Because I do write about criminal law, but I wrote about decriminalization of criminal law, and lately I've written about media law and the broadcaster, the national broadcaster, editorial independence. And then, of course, criminal law touches on various fields. So I've written about prostitution, decriminalization of gambling, stuff like that. So I suppose in a sense it's criminal law, but it's also more multi-interdisciplinary.
Right. I don't understand decriminalization of criminal law. Perhaps explain.
No. Of crimes, yeah. Yeah, my view is that we are too soon to use criminal law to address a problem. Often we feel that if there's a law against it or if it's a crime, then we've addressed the problem, and it's not. No, seldom is it challenged whether these new crimes are being effected, if someone can police it. I mean, as it is, my view is that criminal law should stick to what it's supposed to do, and that is to protect people, your property, people, and people who need protection. But we tend to involve criminal law in instances where it does not have any role to play. That's what I'm about.
So, have you published, excuse me, I'm not being rude, have you published on labor law, constitutional law, administrative law, human rights?
Well, my article, the last article that I wrote was about editorial independence, and that was about freedom of speech and how that interlinks with the editorial independence of the national broadcaster, and how the balance between the public accountability and then how the editorial independence. Because freedom of speech is so important to me. It's one of the most important foundations of I know it's not the most important. There's no differentiation between the Bill of Rights, the different freedoms, but this is extremely important to me. And then I've also written I'm still working on the article, but I wrote an article on the sub judice rule, where I looked into the rule of law and where that judgment by Judge Nugent in media television, where he came to the conclusion that the administration of justice forms part of the rule of law and the rule of law, Section 35. So in that sense, I've had exposure to the constitutional law.
Right. Normally, judges president, myself included, and I know Judge President Mlambo does that, would approach people with a potential and invite them to come and act in their respective divisions. Have you ever been approached by any judge president in this country to act?
No.
What makes you want to become a permanent judge in Cape Town, where you have never even acted before?
Okay. Why I want to do it is the following. I've been a lecturer at UNISA for 25 years, where I've used my academic advantages to empower people and serve society by having students, putting students out in the law. I have many students that really made it in the legal profession. And I see it now as a natural progression to serve society in a different way, in using the knowledge and my expertise, academic as it may be, to the advantage of society.
Well, you haven't answered my question for the record, but I'll move on. Did you apply to act in any other division other than Cape Town?
Yes, I did. I applied in Gauteng.
You applied?
Yes, I did.
I see. Given that you have never acted before and you are applying for a permanent position in a division which you don't even know, where the component of criminal law, I can tell you, is about 35%. The rest is civil law, that your knowledge of which is rather limited. Do you think you would be able to cope if you were given the opportunity?
Yes, I will, because I like a challenge, and I feel that I should be able to make myself comfortable in the stuff. I think what is needed is a good concept of the law, what the law is all about. Civil litigation, I agree. I was a prosecutor, but I didn't do civil litigation. But I think one can make yourself knowledgeable about that.
How do you prosecute in civil matters?
I didn't prosecute in civil. I said I was a prosecutor. And
yeah, that's criminal law, ma'am.
Yeah, I know. Yes. I'm aware of that. Thank you.
Right. You see, why I'm asking this question, it is this. Were this commission to recommend you for a permanent appointment, there is no probation. Mm-hmm. And in case you do not rise to occasion, given your, with respect, your very limited exposure other than criminal law, the system will be stuck with you, Professor.
It could be a positive thing, because I think yes, I could really make a contribution.
Don't you think the wise thing would be rather to try and secure an acting position elsewhere, and if you prove your worth, you can come back and apply for a permanent appointment?
That's good advice.
Given your very limited, there is no court experience that you have not published widely at all, you have only looked at criminal law in different ways, you have never said as a judicial officer, you want to be permanent. Chief Justice, I have no other comments, really.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Minister, you say you want to follow up. Let me apologize to you, Ms. Stewart. You are the one to follow. Yes, Minister?
Sorry, I just wanted to follow up on the decriminalization of criminal law concept. I accept that over the years, many social practices.
Preamble, please.
I just wanted to put it to the candidate, but it's fine. It's going to be difficult. Let me abandon it. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Ms. Stewart?
I have a question. It relates to one of your articles that you wrote in 1997. And it relates to the decriminalization, which the minister has unsuccessfully prosecuted. You wrote an article saying the degradation clause in the Film and Publication Act offers no justification for restricting the freedom of speech nor the intervention of criminal law. And you criticized the government for bringing out an act which makes sexual degradation a criminal offense.
Yes, I did.
In the current climate in South Africa, with the problems we are experiencing, especially in the Western Cape relating to sexual violence, what would be your solution to sexual degradation and how often it happens at the moment?
Yeah, I made a distinction between sexual violence and sexual degradation. Sexual degradation is commonly known as soft porn in a sense. And, well, actually nobody knows what pornography really is. You know the old definition of I'll know it when I see it. So my view was, I wrote it from my view that sometimes speech is restricted, a right is restricted for supposedly very good reasons, and then it is not, and that was not the real reason for doing this. And then I wrote this in relation to the criminal law, and I said that if sexual degradation, as you know, you have to, for a crime to be a crime, it should be well defined, and sexual degradation was such a vague, there was no real definition of sexual degradation, and it's also in the mind of the eye of the beholder, and that is why I said it shouldn't fall within the limits of the criminal law. That was what my point was.
Sorry, just one follow-up. Have you ever approached any of the judge presidents to see whether there was a possibility of an acting appointment?
Well, I once spoke to Judge Malombo, but I mean, I only met him, so he doesn't really know of me. And I asked him and I sent an email, but I mean, that was it.
Thank you, Chief Justice.
Thank you so much, Ms. Stewart. Commissioner Mpofu?
Thank you, Chief Justice. Okay, let's say we appoint you, the President signs. Now, in 2 weeks' time, you are in the Cape High Court. What is the difference between judicial review in terms of perjury and on the rationality test?
Well, you know that I can't answer that.
Pardon?
I will not be able to answer that now.
Thank you.
Ms. Stewart, if you could switch off the mic, please. Thank you.
So yeah, thank you. And, okay, the following week then you're in the urgent court. In the urgent court, what orders, what are the possible orders that you can grant in the urgent court?
You can grant an interdict, or you can, well, I know about an interdict, and that's it.
And in the motion court, how would you apply the Blascon-Evans rule?
I think you've made your point, Mr. Mpofu.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief Justice.
Professor Muzaka?
Have you come across the principle of legality and the influence of the German Rechtsstaatlichkeit principle in criminal law?
That is the German theory of criminal law. That's what you're referring to.
Have you come across that?
I don't know. I don't think so.
So do you agree that even your knowledge of criminal law is not wide enough to make you qualified for what you are position you applied for?
Colleagues, where I work, there is something we call the efficient management of the scarce judicial resources. And time is one of them. I thought we have to manage properly the scarce JSC resources. I have 3 commissioners here. Commissioner Schmidt, you are top of that list.
Thank you, Chief Justice. Could you, from the position where you sit, clearly lacking the practical experience, indicate how would, from your position, there be ways of bridging that problem of not having practical experience? What would you like to see happening in order to obtain practical experience?
I would follow the advice that was given to me at the beginning of this interview, and I would approach Judge the JP in Gauteng and inquire if it's possible for me to act as a judge.
Or I would venture to say, sitting as an assessor in criminal trials. Or
Yeah, I've done that when I started at uni, so I sat as an assessor, but that could also be something to do. Yes, thank you.
or possibly maybe considering doing the bar exam on the side bar exam for the purpose of practical rules, civil practice rules, directives.
I don't know if I have to go to the bar to do that, but I can familiarize myself with the rules. That's how one does it.
JP Mlimela, Professor Ntlama, are you sure you want to go on?
Yes, CJ, just one question, please. Ma'am, would you be willing to set aside some time to attend an aspirant judge's course offered by Sajay?
Yes, I would love to do that.
Thank you, CJ.
CJ, just
It's Professor Ntlama and then you will follow. Prof, are you still proceeding? Thank you, Prof. Commissioner Malem?
yes. Okay. No, I just wanted to ask CJ that after saying to Commissioner Mpofu that he has made his point,
Yes.
do you think that it will be advisable for this commission to continue to appoint you to the bench?
Well, the Commissioner made his point in as far as my lack of knowledge of civil litigation is, but I was hoping that I was shortlisted for some other qualities that I have. So.
Yes. Prof, thank you very much for allowing us to interview you. You are excused.
Thank you.